We are coming up on 5 days and 19 hours into the flight of Artemis II. This is a live view from the Orion spacecraft, now making its journey back home to Earth following a lunar flyby yesterday. This mission is built by people and companies in all 50 states and with international partners. And with Artemis II flying, it's a testament to everyone's hard work and dedication. Let's learn a little bit about them.
What we're doing here is a collaborative effort of hundreds of thousands of people.
This is about the parts, the hardware, the software, the services, all coming together to make that mission possible.
My dream for this space program is that we would not just push the boundaries, but that we push them together.
And liftoff of Artemis I. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
It takes a team to do great things. And Artemis has an incredible team.
We have international partners. We have commercial partners and industry partners.
It takes unity to accomplish great things, and that's what this mission's all about.
We're not sending our money to the moon and lighting it on fire. We're putting that money right back into the economy in ways that benefit everybody. So every dollar that comes out of the Treasury that goes to support this mission goes back into the Treasury 3 times. What is very important to me is that we do it the right way, and that we do it with our values, that our industries grow, that our communities grow, that our families are healthy and safe and have amazing things to work on. Then we're going to build machines to go even further onto Mars.
That is our generation, the Artemis generation, that defines the starting point of our exploration future.
I just want to say thank you to all of the hands that have touched a part of this program and the hearts that have moved everyone to this goal, because we're going to the moon and we're going beyond.
One team.
One team.
One team.
One dream.
It does take a team, and we are live here in the Artemis Flight Control Room at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where the Orbit 1 team continues monitoring the flight of Orion, the first flight of humans on this spacecraft. You've heard us mention a lot about the flight director or the capsule communicator, the person speaking with the crew, but there are a number of positions in this room that are monitoring all of the systems and the daily plans aboard Orion, making this mission happen. That includes INCO, the Integrated Communications Officer, CDH, Command and Data Handling, PROP, the Propulsion Officer, FIDO, the Flight Dynamics Officer, Booster and Control, who monitor the flight of the Space Launch System, IVA, or Intravehicular Activity, ECOM, Emergency Environmental and Consumables Officer, GNC, the Guidance and Navigation Control Officer, FAO, the Flight Activities Officer, MPO, Mechanical and Power Officer, CDH, Command and Data Handling Officer, GC, Ground Control, Surgeon, BME, the Biomedical Engineer, and Science. We might get to share what's happening during the mission, but these are the team members, along with their backrooms, and everyone who has contributed to the flight of Artemis II that are making this mission happen. We are 5 days, 19 hours, and 5 minutes into the flight of Artemis II, the first flight of humans aboard the Orion spacecraft. And you're looking at a live view from Orion, looking back at us here on Earth, the destination of the crew, headed for a splashdown in approximately 3 days, 6 hours, and 12 minutes. The translunar injection burn that occurred on Flight Day 2 is what committed the spacecraft to its splashdown. Yes, that sent us around the moon for yesterday's fantastic lunar flyby, but it's also the burn that helped us slingshot around the moon and target that splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. That was a 5-minute and 50-second burn using the OMS engine, the Orbital Maneuvering Service engine. It's a great picture of the OMS right there on the left side of your screen. The crew has also exited the lunar sphere of influence, meaning that the pull of the moon's gravity is less intense now as the pull of Earth's. The crew aboard Orion are currently in their post-sleep period, having woken up about 10:35 a.m. Central Time. This post-sleep period is the time frame that they can get ready for the day, just like you would at home before leaving for work. They are putting up their sleeping bags, doing any hygiene, and eating breakfast, and we will talk to them in about 30 minutes for the daily planning conference. Flight Director Jeff Radigan here in Mission Control Houston has been gathering topics from the team about the spacecraft systems or the plans for the day that he will relay up to the crew. You're looking at a live view from the Orion spacecraft at our home, planet Earth, now 233,138 miles away, and continuing to grow closer. The crew inside are getting closer to the end of their post-sleep period, and we expect to hear from them for the daily planning conference. That'll be in about 20 minutes. This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We are monitoring the flight of the Artemis II crew aboard the Orion spacecraft. This live view looking back at all of us on Earth, the destination of the spacecraft and the crew. We are now 233,031 miles away from Earth. Orion reached its farthest distance from Earth yesterday, approximately 252,756 statute miles away from our home planet. That surpassed the previously set record from Apollo 13. Until yesterday, the Apollo 13 crew were the humans who had traveled farthest from Earth. When that record was passed, Jeremy Hansen reported that he and the crew hoped that their new record would soon be broken. The crew is wrapping up their post-sleep period, having woken up at 10:35 a.m. Central Time today. Their wake-up music was Tokyo Drifting by Glass Animals featuring Denzel Curry. Pretty good choice for their drift back to Earth. It's going to be a busy day for the crew. Aboard the Orion spacecraft, as we are looking forward to a ship-to-ship call when Orion and the International Space Station crew members get to speak to each other, both in flight. While Orion was over 250,000 miles away from Earth, the International Space Station orbits Earth 16 and sees 16 sunrises and sunsets a day, 250 miles above our planet. And if you've been enjoying hearing from the astronauts and seeing photos taken from this mission, you would also love to keep up with the International Space Station as the astronauts do amazing Earth photography there from the cupola, the window to the world looking down on Earth. You can follow the International Space Station on all social media platforms as well as NASA. Less than 10 minutes now until the daily planning conference for the crew, when the flight control team will call up.
Integrity, we're getting ready for DPC. Would you like the D5 streamed on the 4K encoder for DPC? We would enjoy that.
Integrity, we'd love that.
It works. Dan, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Our first morning messages from the crew aboard Orion. Again, they woke up about 10:35 a.m. Central Time today and are heading into that DPC, the Daily Planning Conference. You heard the crew call down that they were going to set up the D5 on the 4K encoder, meaning we anticipate getting views of the crew inside Orion soon.
Integrity, we are on board with the D5.
We're getting views of the crew. The first coming down on flight day 7. On the left, NASA astronaut Victor Glover, the pilot for Artemis II, and on the right, NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman, the Artemis II commander. If you watched Lunar Flyby yesterday, you can tell that the cabin looks quite different. All the lights are back on. During the Lunar Flyby, the crew turned off all of the lights inside the spacecraft to allow them to better take photos outside of the windows. That helped prevent any reflections from inside the spacecraft bouncing up onto the windows. And if you haven't seen some of those photos already, you should absolutely check them out. You can find them on nasa.gov as well as NASA social media. That's at NASA and at NASA Artemis. It is going to be a little bit of a quieter day for the crew, at least in their afternoon. They will have the space station and Orion ship-to-ship call shortly, and after that they will have an opportunity to talk with the science team, discussing their lunar flyby observations. The science team will be able to ask questions about what the astronauts saw while their memory is still fresh for the event. Of course, we also got calls during the flyby yesterday, as well as they were recording some audio into their portable computing devices, or that tablet that you see right there. Those audio recordings have been downlinked to the science team. They will then review those and gather data from what the crew was able to observe during their flyby period. Later this evening, they will also have the RTC-1 burn, that's Return Trajectory Correction 1. Return trajectory correction burns are similar to outbound trajectory correction burns in the sense that they are small refinements of the spacecraft's flight path. The translunar injection burn is what really put us on the trajectory that we're on today. That occurred on flight day 2 and is what committed the crew to flying around the moon and to their splashdown in the Pacific Ocean on flight day 10.
Good morning, Houston. We are 202,306 nautical miles away. Earth is pulling us back, and we are happy about that. We're ready for morning DPC.
We're happy about that too, and ready for DPC. We've got about a dozen quick items for you. The first of which is updated nominal burn plan and nominal RTC last star on board. Next, for Victor, a reminder for your exercise per the execute note at MET.
We'll be looking on the news. Christina's checking right now.
Oh, we're stepping on each other. Victor at MET, 22 hours, 20 minutes. Please stop your exercise in advance of the op-nav attitude maneuver. Over.
Okay, Stan, if you could just give us a call and remind us, that would be great.
We will do it. Next, for Christina, for your exercise, we expect to be in a forward-link LOS at that time, so you will have the opportunity to park the arrays for exercise yourself. We have three items for the toilet. Last night, 14 hours of waste tank dumping has freed up 11% of room in the tank. So we would really like to treat tank volume as a consumable for entry today. We'll keep that vent going, but we're asking you not to use the toilet for urine until then. And we understand that you're down to support that with CCU use, but wanted to be certain. Over.
We'd be happy to talk more about the Hail Mary option, but if this is the final answer, we can support this on board.
Roger. Thank you. For FecoCan R&R, we know of one full container. Are there others? Over.
That's a negative for now.
Roger that. Last item for the toilet, no Oxone R&R for today's toilet maintenance. Over.
I do love the smell of oxone in the morning, but it sounds good. No R&R today.
Roger that. Next, PCD1 is not showing a micro SD card inserted. If there is a card there, would you please reseat it?
Yep, Stan, we will work on that.
Okay. Next, DU2 had today's flight plan pulled up when we updated that plan, so we'd like you to close and reopen the flight plan on DU2. And we see your thumbs up.
Okay, Christina's knocking that out right now.
Sweet. Jeremy, for docking cam install, can you please tell us about how long this takes?
I'd say probably 20 minutes, and it's much faster once you know what you're doing, but the big thing is we store it down here in F3 in the clamshell, and it's not as bad to unstow it. It's a little bit harder to stow it. The cables are a bit unwieldy, but other than that, once you know what you're doing, it's pretty quick.
Stand by. And can you give us an estimate of how long it takes from once the camera is out of the locker to installation complete?
For a first-time install, 20 minutes. For every other, if you're doing it by yourself, 5 minutes.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Jeremy, one more item for you. After this meeting, when you turn on the acoustic monitor, can you please give us a call? We're timing things here on the ground.
We will give you a call.
Thank you. Our last item. Science got your audio files from the first 5 hours of the flyby. We did not find any from the eclipse time frame. Are there any? And if so, where may we find them?
There's definitely going to be some on PCD 2. I would look through all the PCDs. Jeremy was the primary commentator there, but we can also look and get back to you.
Roger, we'll check PCD 2 first and the others, but if you can give us a clue later, that would be helpful. And that's it from MCC Houston. What you got for us?
Okay, sounds good. Stan, we will just do a quick check on board as well. We have, from your notes in the mission summary, the bobs. We are working our way through bobs, but we are nowhere near completing all the food on board. For instance, I went through an inventory of my food today, and I expect to have 1.5 bobs remaining at the end of the flight, and all my bobs are in bag 16, but we will go and do a pretty good inventory. Overall, I'd say we're probably 40% through the total food allotment right now.
Copy, 40%.
I think the big thing we need for the food is when we start realizing we have uneaten food that we are not going to eat for the remainder of the mission, just tell us where you want us to stow that.
We will do that.
Okay, we have two more topics. First is just a quick one for Huntsville, but don't leave us, Houston. For Avatar, lights 15 and 16 are out, all others are on, and I'm going to hand the microphone to my esteemed colleague and fellow naval aviator.
Pod copies, Avatar.
Actually, Stan, we want to knock out some questions from the mission summary.
And we're ready for questions from the mission summary.
Yes, for the volume in the contingency or in storage bag, I would estimate 300 to 500 mils. And I will continue to use it. And if you'd like me to report, I can.
Copy volume, and thanks for bearing with us.
For email sync, you can keep as scheduled. Sorry, we talked over each other. Stan, can you please repeat?
Yeah, Christina, we copied volume in the contingency storage bag, and thank you for bearing with us. Also copy that we can keep the mail sync where it is.
And thank you for your answers. I think we are questions complete.
And nothing further here in the control room, so we'll call DPC complete. Have an excellent day.
Actually, Stan, we have one more small and quick thing. We just wanted to take this moment to recognize the two newest members of the Association of Space Explorers, NASA astronaut Christina Cook and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. Reed and I are both members, and we're proud to welcome the two of them to this international body of human space explorers. And also congratulations to Jack Hathaway, who recently joined aboard the International Space Station. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, and welcome to the club.
And Houston, question on acoustic monitor.
We're listening.
Stan, given that we have the USB charger on board now, I was just going to plug it in instead of using batteries throughout the day. And I was also going to install it at the bottom of the docking tunnel, right behind the Nat Geo microphone. That's pretty central. So instead of putting it on the DUs, it'll be at the bottom of the docking tunnel, yeah, opposite the windows.
Copy, checking. And Jeremy, we are good with plugging the acoustic monitor into the USB charger, and we're good with your install location.
Okay, perfect, thanks. And then at nighttime, if we're doing docking camera tonight, which I suspect we are, then I'll transition it to PCD power.
Checking. And Jeremy, we like your plan.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You just heard the conclusion of the DPC, the Daily Planning Conference, when the ground team here can relay up any status updates or daily planning for the crew aboard Orion. And the crew has an opportunity to ask some questions as well. Some of those reports may have sounded very simple or menial, but this is the first flight of humans aboard the Orion spacecraft, and so every single detail, even about normal daily tasks, is very important to this team as they prepare for future Artemis missions to the moon. This crew is truly learning and testing everything aboard the spacecraft to make sure we have good systems and good plans for our future explorers. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we will have the ship-to-ship call, when the Orion crew will be able to speak directly with the astronauts and cosmonauts living and working aboard the International Space Station.
Okay, Houston, the acoustic monitor is set up and it is recording, and I will take a photo of that for you. I think I'll just take the photo on the iPhone and put it on PCD3 for you, if that's okay, because we're using the D5 right now for the PAO event.
Copy all, Jeremy. We like it.
You're looking at a live view inside the Orion spacecraft of the Artemis II astronauts. Closer to the camera is Commander Reed Wiseman.
And Integrity Houston, just a reminder for the upcoming ship-to-ship call, it's going to be the OE1 microphone, not the handheld.
Again, you're looking at a live view inside the Orion spacecraft. Victor Glover in the background, pilot of Orion. They will soon be speaking with the crew aboard the International Space Station. The International Space Station has been orbiting Earth with humans living and working aboard it for over 25 years now. Current crew members are part of Expedition 74. That includes Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kuzverchkov.
And Houston for a downlink on the 4K encoder, we only need the video, not the audio.
Okay, Sam, thanks for that. We have restarted the stream with audio off, and hopefully you're getting a good image.
We copy the audio, and we see a great image.
Again, the Expedition 74 crew currently living aboard the International Space Station. Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kuzverchkov, NASA astronaut Chris Williams, Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Mikhaev, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, ESA astronaut Sophie Adeno, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Fedyayev. This is Artemis Mission Control. We are preparing for the ship-to-ship call from Orion to the International Space Station. This will be an audio-only event broadcast at this time due to bandwidth, but we expect to download the video from each crew later and share that with you. Please follow NASA on social media at NASA and at NASA Artemis, as well as the International Space Station, to make sure you can see all of our crew members talking to each other while in space. While the crew aboard the Orion spacecraft is coming back to Earth after passing more than 250,000 miles away from our home planet, the crew aboard the International Space Station is about 250 miles above our planet.
Integrity, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Integrity is ready for the event.
Station, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Integrity for a voice check.
Integrity, this is the International Space Station. How do you hear?
Space Station and Jessica, we have you loud and clear. How about us?
We have you loud and clear as well, and we have DME TV up, so we have a view of you right now, and it is making us so excited. We feel like you're here with us, and this is really just making our entire week right now. We've been following along and have seen the incredible photos and heard some of your observations that you've been reporting.
Jeremy, we have been waiting for this like you can't imagine. Let me go check on our PFD. We are 201,726, now 25 nautical miles from planet Earth, which is just hard to believe. The scales are impossible to believe. And for the run of show this morning, I figured I'll say a quick hi, which I have done. I'll hand the microphone to fellow chump Jeremy. He can say a quick hi, and then we'll let you three A-balls just get on with it. Yeah, thanks for giving me like a tiny bit of microphone time before the 8-balls get after it. But it's such a pleasure to be spending a little bit of time with our colleagues in space, and we talk so much up here, or we try to anyway, emphasize how important the work is that we're all doing in this program to do the types of things that get us ready to get back on the surface of the moon, and like the administrator was saying yesterday, onto Mars. And so we just appreciate you, and it's fun to be up in space with you at the same time.
We are so excited to be up here with you, and we had a couple questions. We are wondering, we know how fortunate all of us are as humans to come up here and look down at the Earth from above. Every astronaut that comes to space remarks on that, and we really wanted to hear what that felt like, how different that felt now from your new perspective around the moon.
Well, I'll start by saying we do miss the ISS. The views there are awesome, being able to see specific places, being able to see your home specifically. So y'all's views are absolutely incredible, and I miss them every day almost. The thing that changed for me looking back at Earth was that I found myself noticing not only the beauty of the Earth, but how much blackness there was around it. And how it just made it even more special. It truly emphasized how alike we are, how the same thing keeps every single person on planet Earth alive. We evolved on the same planet. We have some shared things about how we love and live that are just universal. And the specialness and preciousness of that really is emphasized when you notice how much else there is around it.
That's really amazing to hear. You know, it's been an incredible time getting to be here on station. I know you guys have had a lot of that same experience, and we were super curious. You know, like what you're carrying forward from your time training for and flying on ISS to the moon.
Well, the Navy pilots were carrying on, so I'm the only one that heard the question. I'll go ahead and respond. Actually, Chris, it was awesome to watch you and Jessica go out on a spacewalk. I was lucky enough to sit console for your suit up, and I was just filled with pride, but it also really reinstilled in me those flight operations principles that we live by in a real-time, high dynamic, and risky environment. So having that kind of impressed in my mind right before this flight was huge. And basically every single thing that we learned on ISS is up here. And then, of course, there's the funny and practical, how to eat, how to do silly things with water, how to flip around. We're bringing that with us, too.
And I just got to add, C-Dub, right before you launched, you said you can't wait to talk to us on the space to ground, and it is happening, brother. I cannot believe it.
Face to face, we said.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, I remember having coffee and sitting with you guys just before I left to fly up here, and it's just so awesome being able to talk to you right now. It's such a special opportunity.
And we had another question, because now you're in a little capsule that is your home, and although this is a test flight and so everything is new, what surprised you in your journey so far? We know that Weed really likes it up there.
It's really great to hear your voice up here. I can't tell you how fun this event is for us. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as we are. I don't mean to give you such a short answer, but I can truly say everything. From the core stage ignition, solids lighting, to getting into a new orbit, even right after 8 minutes of boosting on the core stage, to then the translunar injection, to flying by the moon. This entire journey has been interesting, but also applying some of the lessons from station in a much smaller volume, how we move around and eat. Those things have also been surprising, because the difference between ISS and here is we don't have another module to deconflict, and so everything we do essentially starts with a spatial conflict, and we have to take the time to work it out in every activity. And so we've been just having fun working through that.
Thank you so much, Victor. That was such a good answer. We laughed all here hearing your answer. Thank you so much.
All right, my turn, and I'm excited to talk to you guys. It's been awesome up here. Being rookie it's been such an awesome experience, having a great crew. I know you guys have a tight bonded crew as well. Jessica dared me to grow a mustache all during training, and I came through on that. So I'm kind of curious what kind of fun you guys had in your training and on your flight here that's been keeping you guys smiling.
I just had a process escape on my water training up here, and I left the PWD valve open a little bit too long. Now, I will say, I'm not the only one to have done this, but I do have the record so far for the largest process escape on the water training failures.
Well, we can tell that you guys are definitely experiencing moon joy, and I feel like even we are experiencing moon joy right now. I think this also sounds like a great band name, so we can't wait for you to drop your first album.
I got a question for you, but the quick story I wanted to tell you is you were asking what it's like here compared to International Space Station, and I'm just going to relate a very quick funny story. Heading into our translunar injection burn, we're coming out of 38,000 miles, coming down to a 100-mile perigee to do that burn, and when we were about 5,000 or 6,000 miles up from the Earth, looking at the entire Earth just growing rapidly in the window, Jeremy turns around to us and goes, "I'm not sure, I think we're going to run right into it." And we were all dying laughing. And it was the most fascinating thing to watch that Earth grow. And we actually ended up TLIing on the upper half of the Earth, and we thought we were going to TLI on the bottom half of the Earth. Like, that is the perspective we had, and then the vehicle reoriented and we went. So it is crazy up here, and it does bend your mind. So question for you guys, I'm looking around the Integrity spacecraft right now. We're rehydrating some sweet and sour chicken. We've got some Kona with cream. We've got some butternut cookies. I'm sorry, butternut squash and spicy green beans. So it's all the same food. We want to know, what are you eating, and we're going to mirror you today.
So I had spicy green beans for lunch, and I've been loving seeing all of the things about you guys having the same food. It's fantastic.
I had a mango salad this morning. I think you have this on board too. Oh, Nana, I know you love that mango salad just like I do.
Yep, there's a mango salad on the deck right now.
Well, I hope I'm not talking over somebody, but I wanted to say a couple things to my Astro sister, Jessica. One, sorry to steal your next spacewalk day, everybody, but thank you for cheering us along anyway. And Jessica, I always hoped we would be in space again together, but I never thought it would be like this. It's amazing. Congratulations to you on being commander, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your trip in space.
Thank you so much, Christina. I totally share all the same sentiments, and I'm so happy that we are back in space together, even if we are, a few miles apart. We like to joke about that up here, too, because everyone's talking about the records of the distance, and we ran to the far end of the space station when you guys were on the other side so that we could claim we were the furthest away from you in that moment. Love all four of you so much.
We were doing the same shenanigans here when we got to the furthest point from the moon. I tried to get to the furthest point from Earth. I tried to get to the furthest point in the spacecraft, and my crewmates were clawing me down. And I know that's a joke. We were busy doing science, but we had that same conversation. It was a lot of fun. I don't know how much longer we have here, but from the four members of the spacecraft Integrity, we really want to just say our deepest appreciation to the 7 members of the International Space Station, and this has been a true treat. It takes the entire world to do amazing things like this, and to get to come together as this group of people and talk for just a minute at these distances. We are all off the planet Earth right now, and we're all going to go home to that planet, and that is a very special thing. So thank you all for tying in.
Thank you, Reed. Well, beautiful words, and yeah, from here.
And Integrity Houston, ISS is doing a teacher's handover. They'll be back with you shortly.
We are loving all four of you from here, from the space station in low Earth orbit. We'll keep the fires burning here.
And we'll keep carrying the fire. Thanks, guys. Over and out.
Thank you, guys. International Space Station, over and out. Made our day to talk to you.
Thank you to all participants. Integrity and station, we're now resuming operational audio communications.
My goodness, Houston, that was amazing for all four of us. All smiles up here. Just thank you so much for enabling that. That was very, very special to this crew.
Reed, we were happy to do it. You should have seen all the smiles in the control room, and we had a packed visitors gallery, and everybody was grinning up there, too.
Man, Stan, that just made us all cheer up here as well. That is just such a cool thing for the agency, the nation, and the world. What a neat moment.
And here we are experiencing it.
This is Artemis Mission Control at a mission elapsed time of 5 days, 20 hours, and 19 minutes into the flight of Artemis II. You just heard the voices of the Artemis II crew and the crew aboard the International Space Station speaking with each other while both are in space. A ship-to-ship call. We are excited to share that video and audio with you later on today. You can find that on NASA's social media. This is Artemis Mission Control, and the audio you just heard of the crew aboard Orion and the crew aboard the International Space Station speaking with each other. Again, we are going to downlink that video, and we will let you know when that is available. You can follow NASA on social media and the International Space Station as well. We can't promise a time frame when we'll have that video down for you to enjoy, but once we do, it will be fantastic. The International Space Station is now flying 267 statute miles just south of Africa. Meanwhile, the Artemis II crew is flying 231,793 miles away from Earth. Coming up next for the Artemis II crew is a conference with the science team. They will be reviewing what they saw yesterday during their lunar flyby, sharing any findings or interesting information with the science team while it's all still fresh for the crew members. Of course, they have quite a lot of audio recordings that have been downlinked to the science team, and that team has been reviewing and will continue to do so to help them understand what the crew saw and formulate new thoughts about our moon. During the crew's post-lunar flyby conference with the science team, you'll hear them speaking with Dr. Kelsey Young. You heard Kelsey's voice quite a lot yesterday as she was communicating with the crew aboard Orion Integrity. She and her team in the science evaluation room were helping determine even what some of the features were that the crew members were seeing but couldn't quite identify.
Houston Integrity, where did you want to do that flyby conference? On OE1 or OE2?
Jeremy, around Earth 1, please, and Kelsey standing by.
Okay, Kelsey, fire away.
Integrity science, I have to start with a giant wow. Our whole lunar science team and the broader science community has been pouring out positive feedback and gratitude, so know that what you did yesterday really made a difference scientifically. Also want to say the science team has confirmed the locations of the proposed Integrity and Carroll craters, and it was such a powerful moment here for everybody listening and following along. And then also, just before I dive into the list of questions, questions. We heard both Christina and Victor yesterday commenting that being able to discuss with each other amongst your crew, taking things from observation to inference to hypotheses, really added scientific value, and so we'd love to build on that here. So we'll ask specific questions for you guys, but please treat it like a discussion as we heard you yesterday that enhanced value. When you're ready, I'll dive into our questions.
Okay, Kelsey, love all those words. Your plan sounds good. The one thing I wanted to ask you about today during this was I did not record at all where we saw the impact flashes yesterday, so I was thinking maybe I should do that. And if I mean, it's very, very, very rough, so I don't know if that's of any value or not, but if Reed and I can record a rough position in OneNote, do you want to get them off the PCDs, or you just get them when we land? What do you want to do with that?
Can you read my mind? This was exactly the first question on our list. So I'll actually just jump right in, and I think I'll answer your question. So number one question was Reed and Jeremy each reported 3 impact flashes. There were audible yells of excitement in the SIR, and we do not feel we have clarity on when the first 4 of those impact flashes occurred. And so we had follow-ups on, were the flashes brief or were they prolonged, and did you notice any color? And to directly answer Jeremy's question, yes, please do make an annotation on where you think you saw those, because right now the citizen science community is analyzing the data and trying to narrow down where you would have seen those.
Okay, Kelsey, I was just comparing notes with Reed here. We both experienced the same thing. It's a pinprick of light. I would suspect there were a lot more of them. However, you're going to really be staring at the middle of the dark and not looking at the edges of the sun glow around the moon. And it is just a momentary flash, no color, about the size of a star, and it really only lasts milliseconds. Half a second at most.
That's great feedback, Jeremy. Did want to also talk relatedly about any kind of galactic ray flashes you may have experienced. So have any of you guys experienced flashes in your eyes during the mission related to galactic rays, either like while working or sleeping, just to try to speak to the difference between those and what you saw yesterday?
Yeah, 100% difference in those and what we saw yesterday. We see, I definitely see a dozen or two every night when I'm going to sleep. I can talk about those if you want, the galactic flashes, galactic cosmic ray flashes. But the impacts on at least these, what we suspect were impact flashes, were absolutely different, 100% different. And Jeremy said like half a second. I would say they were a millisecond. Like the fastest a camera shutter can open and close, that is what I saw. And I would say they were just white to bluish white, and the size of, Jeremy said size of a star. I really like that analogy from space. It was just a pinprick of light. And maybe it was a priming bias, but to me there was no doubt we were seeing it. And we were all seeing it. So and we were correlating.
Great stuff, Reed. Don't need the description of the galactic ray flashes. So I guess last question for you guys on that. We definitely want that annotation. Please let us know when you have that, and we'll try to downlink it in flight. But when during the period did you see them? Because I think we heard from you like 20 minutes in that you had already seen a couple. So any timing granularity you can provide would help us find evidence from those from the ground and from LRO.
Well, I think it was just whenever we were intentionally looking for impact flashes. We were looking pretty hard. The eclipse occurred, and then we had about 5 minutes of human emotional reaction to staring at that orb floating in the vastness of space. And then right after that, we were like, oh, somebody in the cabin said, let's look for impact flashes, or I see an impact flash. And then we started looking at it, and as we were looking, we all just saw, one or two or three. Mine were, Jeremy's annotating right now, and then I will annotate on his as well. I never saw any that would have been in the Earth glow side, so I do not suspect any that I saw would be able to be correlated from a Earth-based science team.
Great feedback. So it sounds like when you guys reported multiple impact flashes, it could have been that you guys all saw the same ones occurring. Any guidance on how many total you saw?
We didn't necessarily announce everyone out into the cabin, though. Reed and I saw two identical ones. He saw one before mine, and then I know I saw another one after that. So we'll try and give you the annotation and what order they came in. But just remember, this is just very rough.
That's great. Moving on, question for Christina and any others that observed something similar. Christina suggested there may have been possible lofted dust just prior to Earthrise. Can you describe what you saw just before the Earth popped out from behind the moon? And any other crew, did you witness anything similar to what Christina is about to describe?
Hey, Kelsey. So this was during, Earthrise. I was still on eclipse for some reason. Yes, okay. My crewmates were they didn't see it the same as I did. What I saw was when it got close, so as you know, a crescent rose, so it was kind of like two fangs came up, one fang and then later another fang, and then eventually the center of the smile, the crescent. And right before the center of the crescent came up right before the crescent was there was when I thought I saw something.
That's a very evocative description, Christina. Thanks. You noticed it was gray. You kind of highlighted a gray color. Did it, what was the thickness of it above the surface of the moon? And anything else you can describe about what made you think it was lofted dust?
Yeah, and to be clear, this is Earthrise, right?
A-firm Earthrise, because it's that glow from Earth that would allow that lofted dust to become highlighted against space.
Yeah, I was just making sure it wasn't right after Earth set, if that might also be a time, because the picture I'm building in my mind, I just want to make sure I'm not creating false memories. Basically, and I think this is why not everyone saw it as lofted dust, it was not tall. It was it wasn't like the corona where it came up high or anything like that. It was just a slightly different gray color right before it rose. And it was small enough to be within the fangs of the crescent. It didn't go farther than the inner part of the crescent, and it could have been an optical thing and not lofted dust, but to me it just sort of appeared, and I felt like it had a glow. I know that those different terms mean things, but I think in this case that would be the appropriate thing there, that it was potentially, in my mind, the sunlight reflecting off of the Earth and creating a little glow right before the brightest part of the crescent came over the horizon.
Exactly what we were looking for. Thank you, Christina. Similarly, on dust, we heard that Reed chose for his second crew choice target to look for suspended dust. So, Reed, did you see any glow or hints of that dust earlier that made you come back to that observation?
Negative. Just really wanted to see some, and I saw none.
Understood. Okay, for Christina and Victor, during Earth set, we heard you say that the Earth was so bright it made the moon look dark. So you all had the Earth in view during the majority of your flyby. Did you notice any time when the brightness of Earth began to change your view of the moon's brightness? And can you describe how your perception of the moon's color changed as the Earth came closer to the moon?
Yeah, absolutely. And essentially, as soon as the Earth became in the view, the easy view, where I didn't have to turn my head, when it was in what I'll call my field of view, not my field of regard, when I could just see it looking straight, the moon was already at a point where I was losing subtle albedo differences. I think it's the angle of incidence. The angle, the sun to the moon didn't change much, but we moved to the side, so we were seeing a different angle, and the color was less apparent. Orion had also rotated really close to the limb, so a lot of the features that I was looking at were moving away, but I think the change in lighting was due to the angle of incidence, but then when the Earth became apparent, its brightness, it was so bright. It was so bright it looked out of place. The gray of the moon and the black of space kind of seemed to go together, but then more in the dull sense, but then the vividness and brightness, like the difference between an LED display and a painting, right? You can just do things with light that you can't do with paint colors. The Earth looked out of place, and it just continued to dim the albedo and color that was earlier apparent in the moon. I'm passing to Christina.
You saw me nodding vigorously back here. That wasn't just my fantastic listening skills. I was nodding to make sure. Oh, we're not on video. This whole time I've been putting on a show. I was nodding, now you know, because I agreed with everything he said. I'll add a couple thoughts that popped into my mind, which was, I think I made the comment that the moon turned into a sponge of light. In my mind, before the Earth came into view, the moon actually was reflecting light, and it was lit up. As soon as the Earth got close enough to be in my field of view to take them both in at the same time, exactly what Victor said, it dulled, it turned into a sponge. It's almost like it went matte, like a matte finish. And for me, so that's brightness and albedo. It also, I would say for me, got like a browner taupe color, like almost an olivey brown, kind of like the boys' pants, not like my pants, but like these pants. And whereas before, I would have said it was more like electric gray in its grayer areas. So for me, it turned more brown, but a very matte brown. I'm going to stop there. There's one more comment I'll make about when it was very close, just in case it's interesting.
Absolutely, we take that observation.
The only other thing I wanted to add to that is not scientific on lunar observations, but I think that, I know myself in particular, but probably we all underestimated the amount of impact of sunlight and earth glow on cabin windows, on glare on the window structure, window frame, on the heat shield tiles coming across the cabin. That was a pretty large impact, Kelsey.
That stuck up to us here on the ground as well, Reed, and we were hearing the struggles that all those different expected illumination sources provide, but unexpected in the impact that they had. Speaking of things that had an impact on observations, Victor, we heard during your sit rep when you were in the docking window that having that orange Kapton tape in your field of view affected your color observations. That was fascinating and has a lot of impact for future Artemis Artemis missions and hardware and impacts on color. So any other comment you want to make on how your ability to perceive color on the surface was influenced or limited by other objects of color in your view? We're interested here in color rather than brightness.
Absolutely, but all the comments I made about the Earth earlier apply to this one as well. This is the thing I wanted to make sure to add, so I'm glad you asked, is that the human eye adjusting is another thing that had huge impact. Some of the colors and their patterns did not appear in the moon. The Aristarchus Plateau, you know, the browns, the streaks that we saw there, until you stared. Kind of like the impact flash, you really have to be staring. And it wasn't because of intention, it was because my eyes were adjusting. And so as soon as I would look inside the cabin, the vehicle, if those bright LEDs that were in the vehicle, or if the sun was reflecting off of a corner of the windowsill, or the bright earth in the field of view, those things would change my eye, and I'd have to wait for them to adjust again.
And I want to add, while Victor's talking about that, on the Kapton tape color, let me see if I can nods from my crewmates, but when we're looking at Earth, just a normal Earth lit up by the sun, I'm used to seeing these deep blue pictures of like Earth Day photos, Apollo 8 photos, but when we look out, the cloud cover is so bright, it is almost blindingly bright, and you really cannot make out significant detail in the Earth when we're at long distance on a sunlit Earth. So it was very interesting to me that the Earth is so bright from the clouds that it is actually hard to look at.
Hey, since we're going discussion style, like you mentioned, I'll add a couple comments on color. I didn't notice color changing my view, except maybe, like Victor said, I didn't realize it when I looked down at the PCD and back, because I do think there was a time scale there where you saw things a little differently if you just stared for a long time. And sometimes even staring out into the blackness to kind of reset and come back. So I think that is a note. We were very much reliant on PCDs for instruction, but that did cause our eyes to constantly refresh on those colors. I didn't notice necessarily a color difference, but just like a quality of observation, maybe like he was saying, like the details or the contrast. So it might have even been a night vision thing. Yeah, that's all saying that. I did want to mention that when we were getting the really, really high amount of light into the windows, even the shrouded windows from the sun, the reflection on things behind the observer that are in the cabin was really strong on the window. So there's some high albedo things behind our heads, like there's a white bar, the abort sticker on the RHC, some other metal things, like we have some white bungees. I was trying to observe the dark side of the moon during the Earth set while the Earth was behind it, and I ended up asking Reed to give me some black t-shirts, and we covered all of that stuff so that the reflection was just less in the glass, and it worked so well. It basically made observing for impact flashes possible, whereas it wouldn't have been otherwise. So that's a good tip, and I would even recommend, like maybe as part of your stuff, if you ask this in the future, like a black room, a dark room cloth or something to lay behind the observers. Finally, back on the question of moon color change during Earth set, the other thing that happened, which was kind of, I think, just more in the category of like a mirage or something, even though I recognize there's no atmosphere around the moon that would cause the same things as mirages on Earth. There was definitely an effect, like when the Earth actually set, of like when it first touched the moon, it was like your eyes didn't know what to do at that boundary, and it kind of just created a lot of light in that spot. Once it got below that tangent first touch, then it got more normal, and I was able to just see the Earth and see the moon and see their contact. That's all for me. Anybody else on this question?
Thank you, Christina. And as I think I saw you notice, we did just get video a couple minutes ago, so it's nice to see you as we're talking to you. Next question is for all of you. Crater was observed by all four of you, and we're interested in whether your different viewing angles resulted in how you observed Jeremy and Reed saw it first. Were you able to see the ejecta rays, the central peak? And then Christina and Victor, you were next, and you observed later in the past. Could you resolve similar or different features than what you're about to hear from Jeremy and Reed?
The ejecta blanket for I mean, it definitely changed as we went around the moon, but it did not change that much. It was always there. It was always fairly apparent. What is more apparent than the ejecta is the brownish gray, darker area that makes the 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock cut of the pie shape. Like that was always very apparent, and the ejecta rays just made that contrast much more apparent. But overall, did not change drastically as we went around the moon, unlike Orion, which drastically changed as we went around the moon.
And I'll keep going there. And I'm kind of going to ask Reed this question, but it was later on in the orbit that I noticed the ray of like the primary ray of that comes out of roughly the 3 o'clock position was on the mare. And I'm not sure if I was picking that up initially in our first observations, but definitely in the latter. Did you notice that at all? No, the near side mare, yeah. Yeah, Reed says he was noticing that the whole time. That might have been more noticeable to me later on, but that would be the only delta.
Understood, Reed and Jeremy. Curious to hear Victor and Christina's thoughts after hearing you guys.
For the later observation, I was able to see into the crater wall on the east side, and the shadowing there was actually neat, so I could see layers of shadow, so that there's kind of like two faces, or maybe three. I couldn't tell because we were so far away, but I could clearly see light, then dark, then light, and so the layering within the interior crater wall on the eastern side. I was able to see the central area, and I actually thought I saw three distinct groupings of something, and I think that's in the recording, but again, I was so far away, and my eyes were quite tired from adjusting. I was wearing glasses and looking in at the PCD and then looking out of the window out above the glasses, and so my eyes were really getting a workout. And they've definitely been changing. That's the other thing about the eyes, too. My eyes shifted on this. I'm about to turn 50, and that just was very different than 5 years ago. But I did see interior structure, and I commented on the colors, but again, from the angle we were from the surface, everything just looked plain. But the interior floor seemed to be the same color as the surface outside to the west, but the wall seemed to be a different color, which kind of was the same color as the rays and I think the central lift, but I said this in my recording, and it's already becoming fuzzy, but I made some correlations between there, and I talked about looking at the Grand Canyon, where you can see different layers and know that this is the same as that, even though they're not connected. I think the interior, the floor, and the wall maybe had different color or albedo, and I don't remember which one I said in the recording.
I'll pile on with your question. We just brought up the LTP because I forgot that while I was doing this, because there was no shadows on this whatsoever, I think it was towards the end when it was just in full light and very little relief, I kept losing itself. And I actually thought that there was a crater northeast of that is at the center of those kind of starfish rays. There actually looked like there was a very simple and old crater there, and that is what I kind of actually went back and forth between that one and now what I see is true and I wish I would have referred back to my PCD at the time. But I think the lesson learned here is without any relief, it is very difficult to sometimes make out craters, especially here where the rays are actually offset from where the crater itself is. So you're drawn into a spot, and I literally, I am so surprised right now that there's not a little crater where those rays meet, because in my mind, there was, and that was O.
Hey, that reminds me of something else we talked about earlier. When Reed and Jeremy were in the windows, I remember looking out and I'd said something to you. I think that it doesn't look like purely rays. I did see the continuous feature of that east-west line, that 3 o'clock ray all the way into the near side Mare. There's some interesting something going on there. But at first, it looked to me like just two different, like a contact of two different materials coming together, or two different age materials coming together. And when we got on the far side, the far side view, where I was looking back at it, I mean, the later view, it still looked like, I don't know, it sometimes didn't look like a ray. It just looked like different color material. And really, the point of this is not to talk about the 3 o'clock ray and the 12 o'clock ray. It's to talk about the wedge. The wedge looks to me, if you remember my recording comment about continents, I kind of had the near side Mare continent, the middle from Ohm to Oriental, and then the Hertzsprung continent. Those colors in the wedge look like, and not they look the color of, but also the concrete kind of packedness of what's around Hertzsprung. Those look similar. So that's kind of also playing tricks on my eyes between rays and just different material, not just a ray laying on top of the material.
Thanks a lot, Victor and Christina. Wow, we're really looking forward to continuing to dive into this when you guys are back with us on Earth. We want to sign off now to get you guys over to your next activities. Before I do that, I'll just say when you're making those annotations about the impact flashes, any annotations you want to provide about the structures in the corona you saw during the eclipse, we would take those annotations. And that's it for me. It was so wonderful to talk to you over the last 2 days. Thank you again, and can't wait to see you all back here on Earth. Thanks again for what you did for science.
You guys did an extraordinary job of preparing us. We really appreciate you. Can't wait to talk more about this. This was too short. For the sunset recording, if you're looking for that, it's on PCD3, and the file name is recording, open bracket, 13, close bracket.
Copy all, Integrity. Science is over and out.
Integrity Houston, we're maneuvering to the lunar obs attitude, and we'll be ready to dial for the PFC as soon as we see you online.
We copy, and can you say window for science pictures? We're a little PCD limited.
Checking. Christina, window 2.
Copy, we see it coming into view. You guys look gorgeous.
Why, thank you.
This is Artemis Mission Control. You just heard Dr. Kelsey Young, Artemis Science Flight Operations Lead, speaking with the crew aboard the Integrity spacecraft, Orion. Yesterday was lunar flyby day for the astronauts aboard Orion. They had about 6 hours to observe the moon, and during that time they took turns taking photos as well as making annotations and making audio recordings that were sent to the science team last night. Of course, if you got to watch, the astronauts were also calling down information real time of what they were seeing while orbiting the moon. The conversation you just heard from Dr. Kelsey Young with the crew was their post-lunar flyby conference. As you heard, she asked some specific questions about some of the targets that they saw, as well as the configuration of the spacecraft. As this is a test flight, everything we learn on this mission helps us prepare for future Artemis missions to the moon. So even minute details about moving through the spacecraft or how vision was changed based on placement are very important to us. Now this view inside the SIR, the Science Evaluation Room, you can see this team of scientists taking a look at one of the photos that the crew shared. And you can see the photos from the crew at images.nasa.gov or by visiting NASA's social media. That's at NASA or at NASA Artemis. During the flyby yesterday, the crew became some of the first humans to see portions of the moon that had never been seen before by human eyes. Just after the conclusion of the post-lunar flyby conference with the science team, you heard NASA astronaut Christina Cook is moving into the next portion of her day. That would be opportunistic science imaging. She's going to be taking some pictures of the Earth from outside the windows of Orion. All of the Artemis II members will also get a chance to speak with their families today in private family conferences. Additionally, we are targeting the RTC-1 burn this evening. We're looking at about 7:03 p.m. Central Time. The RTC-1 burn stands for Return Trajectory Correction. Our trajectory was determined when we completed the translunar injection burn. So these trajectory correction burns are fine-tuned burns that allow us to just further refine our flight path on the way home. You're looking at a live view inside the Science Evaluation Room as the team continues to analyze some of the photos that the crew sent down. Again, this is the first crew to fly by the moon in over 50 years. So some of the photos they took will be of areas that had never before been seen by human eyes. This was determined by our launch date, which was April 1st. The crew additionally became the first people to see a solar eclipse from the other side of the moon. We got some live views of that real time as well. It was pretty incredible to see the corona of the sun coming around the side of the moon. If you haven't seen some of those images yet, please do visit nasa.gov. We're now at mission elapsed time of 5 days, 21 hours, and 2 minutes into the flight of Artemis II, the first flight of humans aboard the Orion spacecraft. Orion is now 230,896 miles away from Earth, but continuing to grow closer. 44,464 miles away from the moon and continuing to grow farther. You can track these stats at any time by visiting nasa.gov/trackartemis. Earlier today, Orion exited the sphere of influence from the moon this morning. That means the gravitational pull of the moon is now no longer pulling on the spacecraft, and that they are more pulled by the gravitational pull of the Earth. Again, we're targeting splashdown in about 3 days, 4 hours, and 14 minutes in the Pacific Ocean. Our coverage remains live 24/7, all the way until...
The moon gets small quick when you're leaving it. Wow. Moon and Earth are just about the same size. We saw the Earth for a minute. Now Christina's looking at the moon. Pretty awesome.
We copy. Thanks for the report.
As you've heard throughout the flight, the Orion capsule is often referred to as Integrity. This is a name given to the spacecraft by the Artemis II crew members and announced last year. The crew reports that the name Integrity embodies the foundation of trust, respect, candor, and humility across the crew and the many engineers, technicians, scientists, planners, and dreamers required for mission success. And that this name is also a nod to the extensive integrated effort from the more than 300,000 spacecraft components to the thousands of people across the world that must come together to venture to the moon and back, inspire the world, and set the course for a long-term presence at the moon. You're now looking at a live view outside the Orion spacecraft, solar array wing positioned to look at the spacecraft itself. The command module of Orion, that shiny part, is approximately 330 feet cubic feet habitable volume. So the interior living space for the crew is about the size of 2 minivans. And that's about 60% more cubic volume than the crew members had during the Apollo missions. As previously mentioned, this spacecraft is made from more than 300,000 components. And to be specific, 355,056 individual parts compose this vehicle. This a live view inside the Artemis mission control room, where the team continues monitoring all systems aboard the spacecraft, making sure we are set for mission success. This room is also staffed and monitored 24/7. This helps us ensure the spacecraft is safe as well as our astronauts. And just down the hall, we have the International Space Station Flight Control Room, another flight control room staffed 24/7 to maintain all systems and safety for the crew living and working aboard our orbiting laboratory. Because the crew did have such a busy day yesterday for flyby, we anticipate hearing from them a little less today as they have some downtime. Even though they are potentially in an off day, each astronaut dedicates 30 minutes every day to exercise. When in a microgravity environment, the astronauts could experience bone and muscle loss if not continuously exercising. So Orion is equipped with a flywheel, which is a small device. It's been installed directly below the side hatch. The flywheel is a simple cable-based device, and it can be used for both aerobic and resistance workouts, and we've seen some of those from inside the spacecraft. We've also been able to see some of the movement that happens outside the spacecraft when the crew is working out. So during exercise, the crew or the ground team can park the solar arrays and prevent any loads being imparted on them that might damage them. Again, we're live here in the Artemis flight control room. 5 days, 21 hours, and 15 minutes into the Artemis II mission. This is the flight day 7. And again, this is a little bit of a quieter day now that we have had the ship-to-ship call with the International Space Station and the post-lunar flyby conference with the science team.
Integrity Houston, we're maneuvering back to bias tail to sun. Also, we're preparing to clean up your onboard burn plans, and at DPC we forgot to ask you for AGA numbers. Could you please give us those?
Okay, Stan. AJ just came on, as you heard. Give us 5 minutes. We'll give you a reading, and we copy the other remarks. All good?
Roger.
The voice you hear communicating with the astronauts today from Artemis Mission Control is NASA astronaut Stan Love. He's the Capcom for today. The Capcom stands for Capsule Communicator, and that's the single person in the room that communicates with the crew. This keeps their communications streamlined, both from all the ground teams to and from the astronauts.
And Houston, integrity for opportunistic science imaging note.
We're listening.
Yeah, just wanted wanted to mention that towards the end of that opportunity, I'm not sure if it was after the maneuver started or just before it started, but the sun was out the window that I was observing on, and I went to go look for the moon to take more pictures of it after kind of pulling my vision away to look at the lunar targeting package. And when I put the camera back out, I ended up pointing it directly at the sun for a second. So just a reminder that if something's gonna change to where the sun is now in the view that people are looking out at the camera, just give us a heads up.
We will do that. Thanks for that information. On another topic, your new state vector is on board.
Awesome, thanks, and I'll be ready for my PFC in a couple minutes. Do I need to tell you all which PCD I'll be on?
And Christina, no, we don't need to know which PCD you're on. We'll just dial your account.
Copy, I'll be signing in shortly. Appreciate it. Okay, got it. Thank you.
As you heard, that communication's coming from Orion and NASA astronaut Christina Cook, mission specialist. She had an opportunity to do some opportunistic science when the spacecraft's attitude was pointed to allow her to see Earth and the Moon at separate times. You also heard Christina calling about her PFC, that stands for Private Family Conference. All of the crew members are getting some time to talk with their families today. Meanwhile, NASA astronaut Victor Glover is scheduled to conduct some aerobic exercise on the flywheel. Teams here are sending commands to park the solar arrays in safe harbor. That prevents any loads being imparted on them while the crew is exercising. Coming up in about 30 minutes, we will have our daily news conference for Artemis II, where leadership here for the mission are at Johnson Space Center, and we'll be able to discuss the latest status on Artemis II. Again, that's coming up at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Central. That'll be broadcast on this stream on NASA's YouTube, but we will still have our clean feed on the separate YouTube stream. Once that status briefing is over, you can come right back to this feed or just stay right here and we will continue coverage from inside Mission Control Houston.
Integrity confirm we are go for secondary purge line dumps.
We are go for those dumps.
Can you remind me again, Stan, when we have to stand down from them today?
Checking. And Reed, we'd like you to stand down from CCU dumps between MET 3 hours and MET 5 hours 30 minutes, except for the scheduled dump on Victor's timeline at 3:10.
Okay, we copy, Stan. I'm in the process of setting up the recorded exercise. I would appreciate a call up with a 2-minute warning to stand down from exercise.
It's on our to-do list, Victor. Don't worry.
Live here in Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. This is a visualization on your screen, and you can access this anytime on your own device by visiting nasa.gov/track-Artemis. This is called ARROW, the Artemis Real-Time Orbit website. We're about 40,000 miles farther away from the moon than we were this time yesterday during our lunar flyby. And if you have not seen some of the pictures coming down, please do check out NASA's social media. They are absolutely phenomenal.
Integrity Houston, Orbit 1 team is stepping off headset for a few minutes to take our team photo. We'll be back with you shortly. Sure.
Sounds great, Stan. Enjoy that and savor that moment. Please savor that moment. What an exceptional time.
Will do, sir.
Those communications coming from Capcom and NASA astronaut Stan Love to the crew aboard Orion. The Orbit 1 team is monitoring the consoles here at Mission Control Houston, led currently by NASA Flight Director Jeff Radigan. The team's going to take a brief team photo. This is the team that has served this shift for the entire mission and has been training together for a significant amount of time now. All of these flight controllers are the ones keeping the systems and the crew safe aboard the Orion spacecraft for the Artemis II mission. Additionally, we have the Orbit 2 and 3 team with the same tasks, and they'll be taking their own photos. This is Artemis Mission Control continuing to monitor the flight of Orion. We are now 5 days, 21 hours, and 36 minutes into the Artemis II mission, the first flight of humans aboard Orion. The Orbit 1 team is currently on console here in Artemis Mission Control and just took a group photo. We are on flight day 7 of this 10-day mission, with Orion targeted to splash down about 3 days, 3 hours, and 40 minutes from now. This room is full of team members who make this mission possible. That includes Prop, the propulsion officer, CDH, command and data handling, INCO, our integrated communications officer, MPO, the mechanical and power officer, and so many more.
Houston Integrity, are you ready for HIA readings?
Yes, Jeremy, we're ready to take those HIA readings.
And Houston, there's no rush if you're still taking the photo. Just going to give you HIA readings whenever you want them.
Jeremy, go ahead with those AGA readings.
.8 for for O2, and CO2 is 1.5.
Copy numbers. Do you have temperature and pressure?
.4 for pressure and 77.3 for temperature.
Copy all. Thank you, sir.
And you just heard Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen calling down some AGA readings. The AGA is the Anomaly Gas Analyzer, and this is powered on before exercise. It takes about 5 minutes before they can give readings, and they want those readings once they start exercise and afterward. This is the first flight of humans aboard the spacecraft, and therefore the first flight of our ECLIS system, the Environmental Control and Life Support System. So these readings help the team on the ground understand what gases are in the cabin, as well as temperature. You just heard it's about 77 degrees Fahrenheit aboard Orion.
Integrity Houston for burn conference and targeting.
Go ahead, Stan.
Hey, Jeremy, our GNC maneuvers are conflicting with our preliminary targeting activity, so we may have to do prelim a little later, or we may skip it entirely and pick up at intermediate. We'll keep you posted on how it's going.
Okay, copy that. And then when, just cue me up on when the latest trajectory information is on board for targeting. Do we have the latest burn plan on board?
Jeremy, we do not have the latest on board yet. That's one of the things that we're trying to catch up with. So the burn conference scheduled before preliminary targeting is definitely canceled. Again, we'll call you when we have updates.
Okay, understood, Sam. No problem. We're pretty flexible.
And Jeremy, we're expecting approximately 30 minutes to get the new burn plan on board.
Okay, understood, Sam.
This is Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. The voice you hear on the ground is Capcom and NASA astronaut Stan Love speaking with the crew aboard Orion, specifically Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. We are targeting the RTC-1 burn today. That's Return Trajectory Correction 1. That is targeted for about 7:03 p.m. Central Time. This is a small burn using the reaction control system thrusters on the service module of the Orion spacecraft. This helps us fine-tune our path back home. Stan Love was letting the crew know that we are canceling their first preliminary burn targeting conference. They have another one of these in a couple of hours when they will have the final burn plans uplinked and the final targeting complete. It's now been 5 days, 21 hours, and 51 minutes since Orion launched atop the Space Launch System in Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The crew aboard Orion is getting into the first few hours of their day. They woke up approximately 10:35 a.m. Central Time today to the song Tokyo Driftin' by Glass Animals and Denzel Curry. There are a few more open blocks of time on the crew's schedule today, as they had an extremely busy day yesterday with lunar flyby. Right now, pilot Victor Glover is exercising. And Christina Cook is enjoying her private family conference. You heard her call down just prior to that she was ready for her PFC, and that's what that stands for. All of the crew members are getting a chance to talk to their families today. Thanks for joining us for our live coverage of the Artemis II mission. We are expecting to have a news conference today with mission leadership here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. We are expecting that news conference to start around 3:45, and I assume you're watching this on NASA's YouTube stream, and if so, if you're interested in watching the press conference, you don't need to change the channel or change your stream. We will be airing that right here. We also have a secondary stream with raw audio and video, and you can find that also on NASA's YouTube. Here's a video from the outside of Orion, and as we mentioned, pilot Victor Glover is exercising. We do see the spacecraft move a little bit when the crew is exercising, and so the teams here park the solar arrays into a safe harbor position. That means any motion that they experience due to the exercise doesn't damage the solar arrays. If you're just tuning in and you are looking for the news conference that was originally slated for 3:30 p.m. Central Time, we are now expecting that to begin 3:45 p.m. Central Time. That will be live here on this YouTube stream. This is Mission Control Houston, specifically the Artemis Flight Control Room here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. This is a live view from a camera mounted on one of Orion's solar array wings. Interestingly enough, each of these solar arrays provides enough electricity to power 2 3-bedroom homes. This camera looking back on the European service module as Victor Glover, pilot of the Artemis II mission, conducts his exercise for today. That's why you are seeing some movement on your screen. We are mission elapsed time 5 days, 22 hours, and 2 minutes into the flight of Artemis II, the first flight of humans aboard the Orion spacecraft. And if you are looking for the press conference that was slated to start at 3:30 p.m. Central, we are now expecting that to start closer to 3:45. You're in the right place.